Greetings to you all. Since the onset of pandemic of COVID-19 in December 2019, several drugs have been repurposed for its treatment. These repurposed drugs include several categories of drugs such as antimalarials, antibacterials, antivirals, anti-inflammatory agents, anticoagulants, immunomodulators, and others. Among the antivirals, the two drugs that are used in India are favipiravir and remdesivir. Remdesivir is recommended for patients with severe COVID-19 who need hospitalization. Recently, the use of remdesivir is on the increase following the current rise in the incidence of COVID-19. At this juncture, this presentation intends to give an overview of remdesivir. This is Chettinad Hospital and Research Institute located in Kelambakam, Chengalpattu district near Chennai. The Department of Pharmacology is planning to give a series of lectures. The first of its series is this lecture on remdesivir. The presentation will include introduction to remdesivir, its structure, action and mechanism, pharmacokinetic parameters, remdesivir use in COVID-19, the potential adverse drug reactions and interactions, guideline in India and WHO guideline, and finally summary. Introduction. What is the etymology of the term remdesivir? The prefix rem denotes that it is of undetermined origin. The infix desi denotes an adenosine analog, probably from the word adenosine, taking the two letters de as well as si. The suffix vir is from the word virus, denoting an antiviral compound. Thus, remdesivir is an adenosine analog and it is an antiviral compound. This etymological description has been taken from Merriam-Webster's dictionary. History of remdesivir. Remdesivir was designed and produced by Gilead Sciences, Foster City, USA. The research that led to remdesivir was started as early as 2009. Initially, the research was carried out in hepatitis C and respiratory syncytial viruses, and it revealed that remdesivir had the potential to have broad-spectrum antiviral activity. In 2014, during the Ebola outbreak in West Africa, remdesivir was tested in Ebola. Gilead, working with the US CDC and US Army Medical Research Institute for Infectious Diseases, confirmed that remdesivir was active against Ebola and other viral pathogens. In late 2014, remdesivir was tested against coronaviruses, including SARS and MERS. During 2016 to 2018, National Institute of Health conducted a preclinical study on non-human primate. Despite getting positive preclinical data, remdesivir could not be advanced into clinical development for SARS and MERS due to the lack of adequate numbers of potential study participants. In January 2020, during the outbreak of COVID-19, research with remdesivir in COVID-19 was started. Following clinical trials, the FDA approved remdesivir on October 22, 2020 for the treatment of adults and pediatric patients 12 years old or above and weighing 40 kg or more requiring hospitalization for COVID-19. So far, we have seen that remdesivir was tested against different viral infections such as Ebola, SARS, MERS, and then SARS-CoV-2. However, its clinical use was approved only for COVID-19. Now coming to the structure of remdesivir, it resembles the purine nucleoside adenosine. Now what's adenosine? Adenosine is a ribonucleoside that is composed of a molecule of adenine attached to a ribose. That's why it's called ribonucleoside. The other nucleosides include the purine, guanosine, and the pyrimidines, cytidine, thymidine, and uridine. These nucleosides are the essential building blocks for DNA and RNA. When nucleosides get phosphorylated, they become nucleotides. In this slide, figure 1 represents adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate consists of adenine, which is a nitrogenous base, and a ribose. When it gets attached to ribose, it becomes adenosine. And when it gets phosphorylated, you can see the 3 phosphate groups. It becomes adenosine triphosphate. In figure 2, we can see the comparative structure of adenosine with remdesivir. We have already seen the structure of adenosine. Now this is the structure of remdesivir. What is the difference between adenosine and remdesivir? It looks structurally similar, but there are 2 differences. You can make out the presence of CN group attached to ribose and another carbon-carbon bond. If you see in adenosine, carbon is attached to nitrogen. Here, carbon is attached to carbon and not nitrogen, and this is called carbon-carbon bond. Now, what is the significance of the presence of CN group and carbon-carbon bond? That's what we are going to see now. We have seen that remdesivir is a modified version of natural adenosine, which is essential for DNA and RNA synthesis. There are 3 important modifications that have been made in remdesivir to make it effective. The first modification is that remdesivir is made a prodrug. Remdesivir by itself is not active, only its phosphorylated form is active. Like how adenosine triphosphate is active, remdesivir triphosphate is active form. And this activated form is recognized by the virus RNA polymerase enzyme. The second modification, as we have seen already, is the carbon-nitrogen group attached to the ribose. What is the significance of this change? So, when remdesivir is incorporated into the viral RNA growing chain, the presence of cyno group changes the RNA strand in such a way that only 3 more nucleotides can be added to the growing chain. So that will terminate the production of RNA strand, ultimately the replication of virus. Now, what is the significance of carbon-carbon bond? Whenever an unnatural nucleoside enters the viral cell, the viral enzyme will recognize that unnatural nucleoside and remove that nucleoside. But the presence of this carbon-carbon bond makes remdesivir unrecognizable by the viral enzyme. So this does not get removed, but it stays there in the RNA chain, terminating the chain elongation as well as RNA synthesis, thereby the replication of the virus. So that is how remdesivir acts as an antiviral drug. So the replication of viral genome is done by the viral RNA-dependent RNA polymerase enzyme. And this enzyme is only blocked by remdesivir. So remdesivir enters the cells actually before getting phosphorylated. Once inside the cell, it gets phosphorylated to its active triphosphate form, which is remdesivir triphosphate, RDVTP. This RDVTP competes with adenosine triphosphate for incorporation into the newly synthesized viral RNA by the corresponding RDRP complex. That's what we saw in the previous slide. So this RDVTP is efficiently incorporated by the SARS-CoV-2 RDRD complex with a high affinity, at least 3.65-fold selectivity for RDVTP over endogenous adenosine triphosphate. So it binds with more affinity with viral RDRP complex, inhibiting RNA synthesis. Let us see the steps involved in viral multiplication with reference to SARS-CoV-2. The first step is viral attachment. Viral cell membrane gets attached to the host cell membrane. Fusion of the two membranes occurs, followed by entry of the virus into the host cell. The release of viral genomic RNA then occurs, followed by the synthesis of the two open reading frames, 1A and 1B, and then the polyproteins. Formation of structural and non-structural proteins follows. What are these structural and non-structural proteins? Structural proteins include the spike protein, the nucleocapsid protein, the envelope protein, and membrane protein. More than 15 non-structural proteins have been identified, which include many enzymes like proteinases and polymerases. Among these enzymes, RNA-dependent RNA polymerase enzyme plays an important role in viral protein synthesis. When the formation of structural and non-structural proteins is completed, viral membrane synthesis occurs. This is followed by viral genomic multiplication. Once replication is completed, the newly synthesized virions get released from the host cell by exocytosis. The picture shown in this slide is adapted from the figure given in this reference, and it illustrates SARS-CoV-2 multiplication process. The spike proteins of SARS-CoV-2 mediate the entry of the virus using angiotensin converting enzyme 2 receptor as the entry receptor. After entry, the viral uncoating and release of viral genome occurs. This is followed by the synthesis of ORF1A and 1B and then the polyproteins. The polyproteins get translated to structural proteins such as spike protein, membrane protein, envelope protein, nucleocapsid protein. All these structural proteins are synthesized in the ribosomes attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. SARS-CoV-2 RNA is a positive sense single-stranded RNA. Positive sense genome can act as messenger RNA and can be directly translated into viral proteins by the host cell ribosomes. The synthesis of viral RNA from genomic RNA is mediated by RNA-dependent RNA polymerase enzyme, and how this occurs we have seen in previous slides. Once viral RNA synthesis and the structural protein synthesis are completed, viral assembly occurs in the endoplasmic reticulum itself. After the assembly, it gets transported to Golgi apparatus, from where the newly synthesized viral particle is released into the exterior by exocytosis. In this process, the important step is the viral RNA synthesis, which is mediated by RNA-dependent RNA polymerase enzyme. And this enzyme is inhibited by remdesivir. Thus, RNA-dependent RNA polymerase enzyme is the target for the action of remdesivir. When was remdesivir first approved for use? It was on May 1st, 2020, FDA issued an emergency use authorization for the use of remdesivir for the treatment of hospitalized patients with severe COVID-19 with an SpO2 of 94% or less. Following FDA approval, this emergency use authorization was revised to cover hospitalized pediatric patients between 3.5 and 40 kg as well as those under 12 years of age who weigh at least 3.5 with suspected or laboratory confirmed COVID-19. So the initial emergency use authorization issued for adults was extended to the pediatric age group also subsequently. On October 22nd, 2020, the FDA approved the first treatment for COVID-19, that was remdesivir, for its use in adult and pediatric patients 12 years of age or older weighing at least 40 kg for the treatment of COVID-19 requiring hospitalization. So the emergency use authorization was changed to approved use from October 22nd, 2020. And it also suggested that remdesivir should be administered only in a hospital setting where emergency care can be provided if any untoward reaction occurs. Remdesivir use in India. Considering the emergency and unmet medical need for COVID-19, the Drug Controller General of India approved remdesivir lyophilized powder for emergency use in patients hospitalized with severe COVID-19 on the 1st of June 2020. How is remdesivir administered? What's its dosage? Dosage in adults and pediatric patients 12 years of age and older and weighing at least 40 kg. A single loading dose of 200 mg on day 1, followed by once daily maintenance dose of 100 mg from day 2 has to be infused over 30 to 120 minutes, diluted in 250 ml of 0.9% sodium chloride. For patients not requiring invasive mechanical ventilation or ECMO, the total duration of treatment is 5 days. After 5 days of treatment, if there is no clinical improvement, treatment may be extended up to 10 days. And for patients requiring invasive mechanical ventilation or ECMO, the recommended total duration is 10 days. If the patient is having any renal impairment and if the eGFR is less than 30 ml per minute, the use of remdesivir is not recommended for such patients. The pharmacokinetic parameters. So remdesivir is given IV because of extensive phosphorus metabolism in the liver, and it is protein bound. 88 to 93.6% of remdesivir gets protein bound, and the T-half is approximately 1 hour and is primarily metabolized in the liver by carboxyl esterase 1 with cathepsin A as well as cytochrome P450 3A enzymes, and primarily eliminated in urine as the nucleoside metabolite. Approximately 74% of remdesivir is eliminated in urine and 18% in feces. Now, what are the side effects that can occur with remdesivir? Like any other drug, hypersensitivity, including infusion-related reactions as well as anaphylactic reactions can occur. Remdesivir can also cause gastrointestinal symptoms, elevated transaminase levels, and increase in prothrombin time. So before administering remdesivir, liver function test and prothrombin time have to be checked in all patients. And remdesivir has to be discontinued if alanine transaminase level increases to more than 10 times the upper limit of normal. So what are the drug interactions that can occur with remdesivir? So we all know that hydroxychloroquine was extensively used in COVID-19. Chloroquine also. Both chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine can decrease the antiviral activity of remdesivir. Hence, co-administration of these drugs along with remdesivir is not recommended. And remdesivir can increase the serum concentration of azinocumarol, which the treating physician has to remember and take precautions. And the excretion of remdesivir can be decreased when it is combined with drugs such as acetylcysteine. Now, what is the current guideline for remdesivir use in India? This is given by ICMR. ICMR recommends that remdesivir may be considered only in patients with either moderate or severe disease requiring supplemental oxygen, not for mild disease. And patients should not have any renal or hepatic dysfunction. And the patient should be within 10 days of onset of symptom or symptoms. And the recommended dose, as we saw early, the loading dose of 200 mg on day 1 followed by 100 mg OD for the next 4 days. And remdesivir not to be used in patients who are not on oxygen support or in home settings. Now, what is the WHO standing on remdesivir use? WHO has issued a conditional recommendation against the use of remdesivir in hospitalized patients, regardless of disease severity, as it feels that there is currently no evidence that remdesivir improves survival or other outcomes in these patients. And this recommendation was issued on November 22nd, 2020. To summarize what we have seen so far, remdesivir is a structural analog of adenosine triphosphate. Because of this structural similarity, it inhibits the viral RNA-dependent RNA polymerase enzyme and terminates viral multiplication. It was originally tested for Ebola, SARS-CoV-1 and MERS. Indicated currently for hospitalized COVID-19 patients. It's given intravenously as the loading dose of 200 mg on day 1 followed by the maintenance dose of 100 mg for the next 4 days as infusion in sodium chloride. However, the duration of treatment can go up to 10 days depending on whether the patient requires intensive ventilation or not. It should not be co-administered with chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine, and it is not recommended for patients with renal disorders. Thank you all for your patient listening.